Right, in this video, we're just gonna put the final touches. So once again, it has to be stressed. I don't expect you guys to do all the stuff. If you do, that is awesome. Um, but I just want to make sure that you could see all the cool things that you could do, or at least not all, but at least some that you could do that is really, really sweet. So let me just hide that. So let's say we're going to put some final touches on this. So everything is playing really well. I've got all of my little animations and motions going in. And the last things I want to do is add a little bit of blur to the icons to show some real speed, and then just shorten it to a nice even 10 seconds. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the head anim, and I want to use a motion blur or a blur on it so that while he's spinning, we can get more of a blur that we're just not getting because of the way it's set up and how he's spinning through here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this guy and we're going to go with it selected. Let's go to Window and turn on Effects and Presets. And inside of here, we have a whole bunch of effects that we can just drag and drop and then adjust. So I'm going to go to the Blur and Sharpen. And for this one, I wanted to stretch left to right because he's the way he's spinning and moving. So we're going to use a directional blur. And I'm going to drag this out and just drop it right onto this layer. And when I do, you notice this new menu pops up. So right here, I've got my project window. And then I've got on this particular composition layer, I actually have a directional blur now. So if I scrub through it, nothing really happens because I have to increase the blur length. And if I increase it, like pixels going across, you see it's stretching, but it's not stretching left to right, it's stretching up and down, and that's because of the direction here. So I'm going to pull this so it is 90 degrees. Right there, I could just type it in. And so now I'm going to set it to 0 because I don't want it to blur before it actually hits. So he's just sitting there. And then I'm going to hit, bam, right there. I'm going to set the blur length key. Boop. Now, that's turned on and set a key. How do I see it? Is I select this layer and I press E for effect. And then we can see the directional blur, and then I can open it up and I can see my keyframe right there. So right now, up until this point, there is no blur. And now that he starts moving, I want him to crank up and start speeding out. So we could see, oh, and he's spinning there. And I want to see when it's going to stop, which is right about there. So let's say it's going to keep spinning here, and maybe that's a little too much. We'll go, I don't want it to be too bad. I just want to show, let's drop that down to like a 20. So I can still see the animation. Let's say it's going to stay that much till about right here. I'll key it. And then by the time it gets to this part, about 4 seconds, let's say right about here, it's going to drop down to 0. And I can always play with this once I have it. I can move it over a little bit if I want it to stay blurred and kind of transition. That looks nice. So let's see what that looks like. Bam! And he's spinning. And now it's slowly getting out of that blur. Then we have this. Sweet. All right, now that we've gotten that down, let's make it so we can drop this whole composition that we're seeing down to 10 seconds. So once again, I'm going to take this, go back to my project folder. It's logo main comp. And I'm going to take logo main comp, drag it in and make a new composition from it. And let's rename it Final Logo Animation. So let's do a little test here. Sweet. And now I just want to shorten it to 10 seconds. So once again, we right click, time, enable time remapping. And I'm just going to remap it down to 10 seconds. Now, if I wanted to hang there, right click, time. Oops, we'll go there. Freeze on last frame. And it always boosted up, so let's just move it back to here. And now I still have it, it doesn't just disappear. And just as so it's going to end right there. So if I wanted to, I could either crop it down to 10 seconds, I could even shorten it, but let's see how fast that is. So we're doing our RAM preview. Got squash and stretch, got motion blur. Let's take a look at that at real time now. And I like that. If I want to cut it there, I can shorten the movie just by pulling the work area down, or the area I'm working in, and this is what would shorten the movie down. So if I wanted to hold it 11 seconds, like 1 second of that. And then maybe one last little tip. I can go in, press T, and maybe right about here, key the opacity at 100, go to here, and within half a second it fades out. Perfect. And it just holds him and goes. If I want to, I can move this, because if I want it to be perfectly 10 seconds, I'll just grab these because there's a lot of hold time in there. And that makes it a perfect 10 seconds right there. Yay. So now I've got it, and it fades out at exactly 10 seconds.